Hi, my name is Steph. Pronouns are they, she, and I was Leah in Makers and Shakers. I wrote a review about a show called Good Things to Do, and that was at Folda in 2021, and Nightwood Theatre in Toronto remounted it in the fall of last year as well. I really like that one because I think the project itself was really interesting. It had a lot to do about like dreams and also just um, being kind to yourself, and not even just being kind, but just like listening to yourself. And there's a big element of nostalgia I found in the piece as well. So I really connected with the content of what I was writing about. But also, I think that specific article I'm very proud of. I think it's something that, because of what the show was, it was the perfect project for me to best showcase my voice and for me to kind of um, bring to life something that I really cared about in a way that other people could not only pick up what I was putting down about the show, but what I was interested in as a writer. So I think the title itself, this project is technological poetry. That's also kind of how I like to look at my reviews, is that the writing itself, the review itself could be considered an art form. So that writing isn't just about like, oh, what do people know about the show? Are they making sure they have everything? That's also important. But the experience of reading, I also wanted to invoke how I felt in the show. I'm not gonna lie, when I first read the script, I was like, I don't know if I like you as a person. Like, I don't know if we would be friends in real life. But I think the more time I spent with Clark and the more we read it together, I think there's the impulse to do good and to be a good person, and to like I think Leah has a strong understanding of like collective mobility, and how is it that you are not only achieving your goals, but you can't do that without people. So what is that game you have to play? And I think as an adult, I think as a kid, I was definitely very gung-ho about, like changing the world and then making institutional impact, changing that to make it more equitable. And I guess being older, understanding what that fabric and terrain of those institutions actually looks like. There is that element of jadedness. So I think the journey that Leah goes on of realizing how difficult a lot of the work she wanted to do is, but still recognizing that the difficult work is worth it. That I think is something a lot of people other than myself would also identify with. I remember specifically when I was like 7 or 8 years old in the class, although we were taught climate change, the conversation was a lot more different than what it is now, because then it was very much like, don't pollute, turn off the lights, very individualistic in terms of what you could do. And they kind of like scared you in a way that it was like, all of this is your responsibility as a consumer. And if you don't do the best you can at all times, then like you're responsible for climate change. And I think that today the conversation is a little more nuanced, where you kind of understand that climate change is something that you can only solve on an individual level, like the corporations and the billionaires who contribute to that as well, but also in the way that it intersects with race, and it intersects with trade and history, and how a lot of different countries in the world are disproportionately affected by it because of colonialism or continued imperialism that's happening today.